Hello guys, Sweetie Grace here. So today we're going to create a slam tin can, and we're gonna separate this tutorial into 3 parts, starting from modeling, then texturing the tin and the meat, then giving the tin a simple open animations. Before we start, please consider subscribing to this channel to support, and you guys could become a member on my Ko-Fi page to get access to all of my models that I have created here, including the artwork. Or a simple follow will mean a lot too. And let's jump to the tutorial. First, we delete all the objects on the viewport except for the cubes and move to the front view. Hit Shift plus A to add a new object and place an image reference. Look for the reference that you guys can download, including the textures too, link in the descriptions. So now we place the front reference first, then move to the top view and add the top reference. Select the image, then hit S to scale and type 0.5 in both of the images to make it half smaller. Next, we select the cube, then press tab to go to edit mode. Hit Alt plus Z to turn on X-ray view and select the top vertices, then move them down to align to the reference. Move the bottom vertices up a little bit too, then move to the top view. Select all the vertices of the cube, then press S, then Y to scale it on the Y axis. Scale the cube fit with the inner edge of the reference and back to the front view, then scale it on the X-axis. Move to the edge selects by pressing 2 and select all the vertical edge from the cube. On the top view, hit Ctrl plus B to bevel the edge and scroll up the middle mouse button to increase the segments to 4. Press 3 to move to face select and select the top and bottom faces, then press X and delete faces. Select the top edge loops by left click and holding Alt, then press E to extrude it up on the Z axis. Scale it out a little bit to match the reference and extrude it all the way up once again. Hit Ctrl plus R to add a loop cut and place it here around the middle. Next, we select the last top loop face, then hit Alt plus E and choose extrude faces along normal. Select the last top loop edge from the tin, and on the layer panel on your top right here, hide the reference image by clicking this eye symbol so we could see what's going on. Hit S, then Shift plus Z to scale the edge loop except for the Z axis in. Extrude the loop edge down once, then hit E and immediately press S to scale it in. Move to the top view and adjust the scaling on the X axis so the shape will remain absolute rectangular. Next, we scale it in again and maybe move to the front view so we can align it with the outer edge. Continue extruding the edge loops until it has the same shapes as the outer tin, but on the bottom here, we leave some space to give room for breathing. While the edge loop is still selected, hit Ctrl plus F and select Grid Fill. On the bottom Grid Fill options here, play around with the span and the offset value to give the shapes of edge fill. In my case here, I set the span to 5 and the offset to 4, but you guys just focus on the edge fills pattern, not the numbers, because the result might be different. Select the outer bottom edge loops, extrude it down and scale it in a little bit. Extrude again, then scale it in and scale it on the X-axis to maintain the square shapes. Next, we just grid fill the edge loops and make sure it has the same edge pattern as the inner tin by adjusting the value on the grid fill options. Add a loop cut on the middle and scroll up the middle mouse button to increase the segments to 3. Add one more loop cut on the sides of the tin and move to the bottom view. Select this face loop here by holding Ctrl to select the shortest path, and you guys just follow my selections here. Next, we extrude them down and scale it in to fit the reference image. Back to object mode by pressing tab and hit Ctrl plus 2 to give 2-level subdivisions modifier on the tin. Right click the tin and set it smooth. On the modifier properties, turn off subdivisions preview in edit mode by clicking this rectangle icon. Then we select all the sharp edges on the tops of the tin, including the inner edge loops too. Hit Ctrl plus B to bevel the edges and scroll down the middle mouse button to decrease the segments to only 1. Next, we select the inner bottom edge loops, then bevel it with 2 segments, but be careful to not overlap the edges. Let's continue to create the lid. In edit mode, select these inner face loops from the tin, then hit Shift plus D to duplicate. Right click to place it back and hit P separate by selections. In object mode, select the duplicated loop face and hit slash to isolate it. Next, we select the top and the bottom loop edge, then extrude and scale it in. Scale the extruded edge on the x-axis to maintain the rectangular shapes like before. Then we press E, S, then Z to extrude and scale it on the z-axis. Then we extrude it again with the same method as before and grid fill it with the same patterns as the tin. Lastly, we select all the sharp edges on the lid, then bevel it with 2 segments to make it sharp and hit slash again to unisolate it. Back to the tin, and on the middle body here, add 4 loop cuts and select all the face loops of the body, then duplicate and separate it. Select the duplicated mesh in object mode and scale it out except for the z-axis to prevent overlapping faces. So basically this mesh will be the cover for the tin and for placing the design later. Next we need to separate the inner face of the tin for the meat, and we're using the same duplicate separate method like before. In edit mode, scale all the vertices smaller and drag the bottom vertices up a little bit to prevent overlapping. Next we extrude and scale it in, then fill the face with grid fill. Select the top edge loops and move it down slightly. Then we add 2 loop cuts close to the edge to support the subdivisions. We're not done modeling yet. Next we will create the opener, and to create that we need to hide all the objects except for the top reference image. Oh, and on the image properties here, we could adjust the opacity of the image so we could trace it clearly. While the image is still selected, hit R and type -45 degrees. Next we add a plane, then scale it smaller and move it to the reference in edit mode so the geometry is still on the center. Align the vertices of the plane until it fills the image on its sides, then add a loop cut on the middle of the hole. Add 2 more loop cuts on the hole sides and add 1 loop cut horizontally. Bevel the middle cut with 1 segment and scale the vertices until it matches the shapes of the opener. Add 1 more cut on the middle of the circle here and move the 2 right vertices in on the x-axis. Next, select all the faces of the plane except for the right 2 faces, then hit I to insert a face and delete the faces. Select these 3 middle vertices here and align it to the opener hole. Then we select the middle vertex on the circle and hit Shift Ctrl plus B to bevel the vertex. Scroll up the middle mouse button once to increase the segments, then right click, Loop Tools and select Circle. Make sure you guys have turned on Loop Tools add-on inside your Blender preference to use these features. Scale the circle out and delete the middle vertex. Then we select 2 of the vertices here and hit G to join them. Do all the joins on each of the circle corners to make the face turns square. Next we select these 2 edges of the circle and extrude them out to the left. Add 2 loop cuts inside it and align the placements a little bit. Select the middle vertex here and dissolve it. Then we select all the circle edges and circle it with loop tools. Then we just join the vertex horizontally and vertically so the middle vertex is right on the center. Lastly, move and scale the circle to match to the reference image if necessary. So here is the best result of the opener topology, and if your result is different, please go back and try it one more time. I know you guys can create this. Hide the reference image on the layer panel and extrude all the vertices up on the z-axis slightly. Then we select this middle vertex, bevel it, circle it with loop tools, and join the vertices on the corner. Select the middle circle faces and extrude it up with a small touch. And next, we add 2 loop cuts on each of the sets face holes to make the edge sharper. In object mode, give the opener subdivisions modifier and set it smooth. Add 2 loop cuts here on the circle to make it sharper too, and maybe increasing the level to 3 on the subdivisions modifier will give a better result. For the last touch, turn on X-ray view and select all the circle vertices. Hit Ctrl plus I to invert the selections and move the vertices up a little bit. Then we select the image reference with the opener 2 and rotate it back 45 degrees. Unhide all the objects on the viewport except for the reference image because we don't need it anymore. Move the opener up and place it on the lid. So yeah, congrats guys, we have done the modeling process and we could rename the objects on the layer panel to make our workspace clean. Let's start texturing this tin. Here I changed the render engines to cycles and the device to GPU. Then I use EasyHDRI add-on here to give a quick preview. Move to the shading tab and delete the default principled BSDF node. Add metallic BSDF and connect it to the surface. Then change the base color to bronze and decrease the roughness a little bit to make it shiny. Next, we select the opener and select the tint, then hit Ctrl+L to like this video. I mean to link or transfer data. Then we just pick link material. Delete the material on the cover by clicking this X symbol and delete the material on the mid too. Select the cover and click plus new to add new material. Add image texture node and connect it to the base color. Change repeat to extends on the image textures and click open, then look for the spam textures color. Go to the UV editing tab and move to the back view on the viewport. Select this 1, 2, 3 vertical edge hairs and 1, 2, 3 hairs. Then hit U and choose Mark Seam. Select all the edges by pressing A, then hit U again, but now choose Unwrap Angel Base. On the UV editing window, select all the UV and place it on the image. The longer one is for the front and the shortest one is for the back. It might need some time and patience, so just take it slowly. Scale all the UV on the y-axis to fit the image. Next, we select the back UV by pressing L to select the link and place it to the back design. Back to the shading tab and decrease the roughness on the principled BSDF node. Hide the cover by pressing H and let's focus on the tint. Add image texture node and displacement node. Connect color to H on the displacement and change repeat to extends like before. Connect displacement to displacements on the material output and open the displacement textures that you guys have downloaded before. Back to the UV editing tab again, and on the viewport, we select this loop edge at the top, then we continue to select the bottom loop edge carefully. Then we just simply cut this by selecting the middle edges on the both sides of the tint. Lastly, we mark its seam and select all, then unwrap it. On the UV window, we select these two UV maps and drag them away out of the border. Here I will show you guys some magic trick to straighten the UV without using any add-on. Let's move it away first so we could see it clearly. Select two of the vertices anywhere on the UV map that you want to straighten, then right click and choose align horizontally. Align the bottom one too, and for the side we align it, but now we pick align vertically. Do the alignment on each side so it will turn to a perfect rectangle. Next we press 3 to move to face selections and select all the UV, then left click twice the perfect rectangle so it will be the last selected. Then we just simply hit right click and select follow active quads, and ta-da! We don't straighten the UV without using any add-on. For the top one, we are using UV Toolkit add-on that you guys could download for free, link in the descriptions. Select all the UV faces, then hit N to open the side panel menu, and on the UV Toolkit, we just simply click Straighten UV. Select the bottom UV, rotate it, and stack it at the same as the top one. Scale the UV if necessary, and move them both to the textures. Change the view to render so we could see the transformations, and keep scaling and placing the UV until it's centered to the tint. Add two loop cuts here horizontally to support the subdivisions. For the lid is quite simple, we just select the loop edge here, mark its seams, and unwrap it. Move the ugly UV away and place the top UV fit with the textures. But before that, we need to turn on face orientation first by unfolding this drop down arrow on the viewport overlays. Now we select all the faces on the lid, then hit Alt plus N and choose flip to flip the normal. Do the same work too on the mid until all of our shapes turns to blue color. To flip the UV, we just simply scale it on the x-axis and drag them away while holding Ctrl to scale it to -1. Adjust the positions of the UV once again and rotate it too until the textures is the same as the real slime tint. So now we have done all of the UV unwrapping, guys. You can take a breath now, just relax. Back to the shading tabs and select the opener. Duplicate the material on it by clicking this folding paper symbol and delete the image textures and the displacement node. Next, we select the lid and add color ramp node, then place it before the displacement. Hide the cover for now, and on the color ramp, change black color to light gray and switch the directions of the two colors to make the displacements going in. Set the scale on the displacement to around 0.25 and duplicate the material on the opener. Switch the directions once again on the color ramp to switch the orientations of the displacements. So I made a mistake here, so forgive me guys. The right one is the opener displacement is going out and the thin is going in. You guys could fix this by just switching the material. Next we are going to make the textures for the mid. Select the mid and add new material, then change the color to red pink. Add Voronoi textures and noise textures, then step that aside. Add bump node, then connect distance from the Voronoi to hits on the bump and normal to normal. Set the bump strength to 0.25 and set the scale on the Voronoi to -0.15. Connect vec from the noise textures to vectors on the Voronoi and increase the roughness on the noise textures to 0.7. Increase the scale on the noise textures to 18 and decrease the roughness on the BSDF. So it's looking like a pork meat now, and I really don't know what pork is like in real life because I never eat that in my whole life. It's haram, dude. Let's make the meat more complicated. First, add a color ramp and place it before the bump node. Then duplicate the color ramp by pressing Shift plus D and place it at the top from the original. Connect distance to vec on the second color ramp and connect color to roughness on the BSDF. Set the black color to dark gray and move the two colors to the middle. For the first one, set the black to light gray and wiggle the white a little bit. On the BSDF node, unfold the subsurface and increase the weights to 1. Set the middle value to 5 and set the bottom value to 8. Select the noise textures and hit Ctrl plus T to open the mapping node. And make sure you have turned on Node Wrangler add-on on your Blender preference to use these features. Change the coordinate from generated to objects and duplicate the noise textures, then place it on the bottom here. Add a displacement node and connect vec to H. Drag the vector from the mapping node and connect it to the vectors on the second noise textures. Connect displacement to displacements on the material output and decrease the scale to 5 on the noise textures. Set the roughness to 0.5 and set the scale on the displacements to 0.05. So there you go guys, we now have done the texturings, congrats. Let's animate these things and maybe I will create a new series or a playlist for an animation tutorial in the future. First, we need to hide everything except for the lid and the opener. Select the opener and hit Shift plus S and set the cursor to selected. Hit Shift plus A and add a single bone in the armature sections. Hit R and type 90 to rotate it. Press Tab to go to edit mode and move the bone away from the lid. Select the tail of the bone and move it on the x-axis close to the opener edge. While it's still selected, hit E to extrude it and place it on the right edge of the opener. Extrude out once again with the same size from the left bone and hide the mesh for now. On the armature properties, which is this running person symbol, unfold the viewport displays and change the displays as to be bone. Turn on names and in front, then unhide the mesh once again. Select the armature, then press Ctrl plus Tab and move to the pose mode. Hit Ctrl, Shift, Alt plus S to scale the middle bone smaller and rescale the tip bone too. Select the middle bone and move to the bone properties here. Unfold the bendy bone sections and increase the segments to 32 or more if you want. Select the right bone, then select the middle bone as the last selected. Hit Shift Ctrl plus C and select Stretch to Constraints. Now we can move the bone but it's limited. Press Tab to go to edit mode, then hit Alt plus P and choose Clear Parent. Now we can move it freely in the pose mode, but the rotations is still limited. Select the middle bone and on the bone properties, scroll down until you see the handle sections. Change the start handle from automatic to absolute and pick the first bone using this eyedropper tool. Do the same methods on the end handle, but now we pick the last bone and now we can move it freely. In edit mode, duplicate the last bone and place it on the opener circle. Hit N to open the side panel menu, and on the item sections, we can adjust the bone length here. Increase it and place the tip to the opener handle. Set the roll to 0 in all of the bone to prevent issues when we animate it later. Once you have done that, select the opener bone, then right click and pick Subdivide. Select the first bone and decrease the length so it's become tiny. While it's still selected, hold Shift and select the rect bone from the lid, hit Ctrl plus P to set the parent and pick keep offset. So now when we move to the pose mode and move the rectus bone, the opener bone will follow. Turn off deform on the left and on the left bone from the lid by clicking this checkmark symbol on the bone properties. Turn off deform on the opener bone too for now, then hit Ctrl plus Tab and back to the object mode. Select the opener and select the armature while holding Shift. Then hit Ctrl plus Tab and move to the pose mode. Select the middle bone in the pose mode, then hit Ctrl plus P and choose with automatic wedge. So now the lid will follow when we move the bone. Back to the edit mode and turn on the deform on the opener bones for both of them. Turn off the deform on the middle bone for now and do the same method like before, which is select the opener and the armature in object mode, then move to pose mode and select the opener bone, hit Ctrl plus P and set the wedge to automatic. Now when we rotate it on the local Z axis, it's bending like an actual opener. Before we start to animate it, we need to go to object mode, then move the armature modifier up above the subdivisions in both of the opener and the lid. If not, there will be some jagged mesh when you animate it, so let's check it out. Oh, don't forget to turn on deform on the middle bone. And here we can easily open the tin, but we still need to move the opener manually to prevent overlapping mesh. This project is the longest work that I have created and it's still continuing progress, so if you guys have a better approach, let me know in the comment below. To animate it, we need to go to pose mode first, then on the timeline here, click this drop down arrow symbol and change it to Dope Sheets. Unfold the Dope Sheets arrow and set it to Actions Editor. Then, click plus new here in the middle to create a new actions and change the name to Open. Here we need to turn on the shield icon to save the actions. If you don't, it will be deleted when we open the project later. So super important guys. Set the keyframe to 0 by dragging this blue bar on the actions editor, and now we select the 3 bones that we want to move. Hit K, then pick locations and rotations. So now there will be a yellow dot appear on the actions editor. That means we have set bones data to the keyframes. Next, move the blue bar to frame 40 and move and rotate the bone to open positions. Take it carefully so the bottom lid is not stretched out, and we can rotate the opener bone on the local Z axis by pressing Z twice. We can change the bone display as a sticks to see the mesh, and rotate or move the opener bone carefully until it's not overlapped. Once you have done that, select all the 3 bones that we move, then hit K, locations and rotations like before. Now when we hit the spacebar or move the timeline, the bone will move, but there is still some jagged movement on the frame 20 here. So like before, we add more keyframes on that frames and move the bone again until it has a smooth animations. We can add more keyframes too when we see some jagged or overlapped mesh. On the output properties here, set the end frames to 50 and maybe increasing subdivisions level to 3 on the lid will give the best result. Please subscribe to this channel if you mind and hit the like button if you think this tutorial helped you. Don't forget to share it with your friends too, because sharing is caring. Thank you for my monthly supporters on Ko-Fi, which are Nicola and Giri. Thank you to all of you guys who've watched this far. I hope you guys are well and I'll see you in the next creations.